if I start telling people about hell, I might just scare them off. Where are you going to scare them off to? Hell number 2? Or are you just going to sit there and let them burn?
The reason why I'm kind of lost for words is because I'm trying to imagine what these people are seeing and their mindset towards their belief system. And to think that this planet Earth is everything to them. Everything. And how Romans 1 lays out that they worshipped the created thing instead of the creator. It's just amazing.
Right, right. We are living in a Romans 1 world.
Wow. Rory?
Yeah. I listened to what you were saying. And one of the things that stick out to me is Athena. Athena, that 40-foot monument that's in Nashville. When I learned of that, I was shocked. But you said something, too, that is even more interesting. You walk around Washington, D.C., and it's all in your face. It's everywhere. The Supreme Court has Confucius and various other of these enlightened ones, or these gods, so to speak, that are above their heads, and people don't see it.
Yeah, we forget that the world that we're living in is not our home. We are citizens of a different kingdom. We're citizens of a heavenly kingdom. But what I find striking in thinking about that is that if we could transport the early church, if we could transport the disciples back from their day and put them into today's culture, they would walk around going, hey, we've seen some of this before. Because it's that same drive, that same celebration of these ancient beings, these gods and goddesses. And you know something, when you compare them to who our God is, they have no power, but they certainly have an attachment, or humanity has an attachment to them. I'm reminded of Isaiah chapter 40, and Isaiah 40 has become, for me, a very, very important passage. Isaiah 40, you are reminded that who is like God? And it's a whole chapter of comparing who God is. And one of the comparisons is to nature. Is he like nature? No, he measures it in his hands. He sees it all. He measures it. He's looking at it like a surveyor would. A surveyor sees it all in its big picture, in its parts, and in its larger components. And he gets it all. He knows it all. So is he like nature? No, not even close. Is he like man's counsel and men's wisdom? No, not even remotely close. I don't know when the last time that God called you guys or called myself to say, hey, what should I do in this situation? I need some counsel. No, God doesn't need man's counsel. And then he's compared to the nations, and the nations to him are as a drop in the bucket, and the imagery being the bucket that's dipped down into the cistern, pulled out with a rope, and the last remaining drops that mean nothing, that are dripping off the bucket. That's what the nations are like to him. Or, and he describes it this way, as the small dust, the fine dust on the scale. The kind of dust that you guys don't have in your homes. I don't have in my home, right?
Yeah.
That fine, fuzzy stuff in the corners that doesn't weigh anything and doesn't count on the scales, but you just blow it off. You blow it off because it's there. And he's describing the nations like that in compared to him. And then when I think of all of that, and I'm going, and we elevate these ancient pagan deities, who is our God compared to them?
Mm.
Wow. Why do we have nothing to be afraid of, gentlemen?
Exactly.
Absolutely. But the other thing, like you said, is that people need to know who God is for themselves. And, they have to get into his word and learn his word and see how lofty God is. Isaiah said, the year King Hosea died and I saw the Lord. He was high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. And he says, for the first time, he from a human perspective, understood who God was.
Right.
And that's not even God in its entirety, because we can't fathom God. But that's all he could do. And he says, I am undone. Woe is me. And this is what we are here to do at Don't Let Him Burn is just to share with people God's word and what He has in store for us once we adhere to His word and we accept Him in our hearts.
Amen.
There's another question. There's another question that I have for you. Burning Man. The Burning Man event in the desert. Once a year, I can't remember where it happens, but last year there was a landing strip where planes can land for the stars to come in. I learned that it's getting bigger and bigger every year, and the one place that is I'm reminded of is the temple room, or the temple. It goes right back to worship, where these people could come and have sex or whatever it is they wanted to do in the temple. Could you shed some light on that?
Oh, wow. Well, Burning Man is one of the most important cultural events in North America and indeed around the world. And it's not just simply one event. There is the one event that everybody knows of, but it has become a global phenomenon in that now you have regional burns around the world. Israel has a regional Burning Man event. In 2015, they burnt an effigy of Adam and Eve. South Africa has a regional Burning Man event. Australia has regional Burning Man events. There are regional Burning Man events scattered across the U.S. Canada has one in Alberta called Freezer Burn. And then, of course, everybody who knows anything a little bit about Burning Man automatically goes, in their mind to the big one, and that is Burning Man proper, the Burning Man event that happens in the city that's constructed called Black Rock City, and that's in northern Nevada, in the Black Rock Desert. And last year, about 75,000 people attended, and it has been growing. It started back in, I believe it was 86, when Larry Harvey and some friends, not very many guys, just went out and burned an effigy on the beach in San Francisco. And there's rumors as to why, there's reasons, it doesn't really, it's not really pertinent necessarily with what's happened now with the event itself. And then over the years, it just got a little bit larger. And then I believe 2 or 3 years into it, they decided, we're going to make this into more, they decided to make this into an annual event. But 2 or 3 years into it, a group called the Cacophony Society, which started off a few years before that and known as the Suicide Club, the Cacophony Society heard about it. They alerted their network. All of a sudden, there's hundreds of people at the beach. The police come. They can't burn the man because the police presence is there. And, of course, I'm just giving you the Coles notes here. And so the Cacophony Society said, hey, you guys got a great idea. Obviously, that there's some momentum to this. We know a place out in the desert of northern Nevada. We're going to go there. We're going to draw a line in the sand. And everything on this side of that line is a new reality. And that's what Burning Man is. It is a different reality. And then over the years, it's just grown and grown in size and influence and scope, to the point where already for the last number of years, they've had, the stars come. This is not even necessarily where the stars go. This is really where Silicon Valley goes. This is where the tech hubs of San Francisco go. It was really an interesting event in that it has set the cultural stage, and it is only growing in importance.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I've learned some things. So there's a burn that's you talked about regional burns that are around the world, and right. Is there any significance to the dates that have been planned? Normally, these are high days in the pagan world. So I'm just wanting to clarify. I'm not saying that they are.
Right. Some are on those dates. Some of them are built around the equinox. Some are not. It varies. It really does vary, because the event itself is not necessarily connected to any one specific frame of religious reference. It's really more, we're creating our own God. We're creating our own temple. We're creating our own sacred space built around however that experience is for you. This year's theme, however, is really interesting. It's radical ritual. And what's fascinating is in the last number of years, since 2000, they've had a temple constructed at the event. And What's so famous, of course, is the burning of the man, which is a very large effigy. The burning of the man takes place on Saturday, but every year since the year 2000, they also burn the temple on the following Sunday. This year, they're marrying the man and the temple. The man is getting his own temple. It will literally be the temple of man, basically within this framework of re-enchantment.
If you like our videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all our frequent updates.